Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us on this live session that RB and Reboot has put together. We hope it's going to be useful for you, and we've got three of us from RB here going to talk to you for the next half an hour, 45 minutes about CVs, the most important step to getting into an interview. So I'm Shikha D'Souza. I lead talent acquisition and campus for RB Hygiene. And I've got my namesake, Shikha Sinha, on the call with me, as well as Parul. I'll allow them a minute to introduce themselves. Shikha, over to you.
Thanks, Shikha. This doesn't get old. Calling somebody else by my name as well never gets old. But happy to be here. Happy to have a chat and answer any questions that there may be. I started my journey with talent acquisition, and I spent about 5 to 6 years before I moved into an HR business partner role. And I still maintain that talent acquisition was something I thoroughly enjoyed, and it was probably the best part of the work that I've done so far because there are so many interactions and there's so many new interactions that happen on a daily basis that just keeps you on your feet and keeps your day interesting. So, looking forward to the conversation today for sure.
Thanks, Shikha.
Hi,
Parul, over to you.
hi. I am Parul Gossain. I currently look after key account management for government in RB, and my journey has been. I first was 10 years with Philips, and then I had equally locked 10-year break where I pursued what I wanted to do and something looking at new avenues. And then I decided that no, I liked what I did in the first 10 years. So let me get back to it. And this is where I am. And here, Reboot and RB helped me make that journey. So I hope I can share those experiences and have many of you join back.
Thanks so much, Parul. And I have to say that Reboot has been a partner with RB since the time we launched the Rediscover program, which is a program that brings people back to work who've taken a break in their career. Reboot specializes in bringing people back to work, and for that, we are very grateful that they've partnered with us and are helping us through this journey. So, what I have planned now for the next 30 minutes is a few questions for Shikha and Parul. The idea about this workshop is to help you out there prepare a CV that's going to get you into that first round of interview. Because honestly, once you've gotten there, the rest of the journey is up to the interactions between you and the interviewer. So, Shikha, the first question actually is to you, given that you have done talent acquisition. What is, according to you, a good CV? And therefore, what are the top three things that you look at a CV from an HR professional's view when you shortlist them for the next round?
So honestly, when you talk of good CV, I think the first thing that I really impresses me and urges me to look at a CV is that it's very, very crisp, right? So we've heard time and again that your CV should be a one pager, not more than that. I would say maximum go to 1.5 page because, of course, if you've had certain experiences, you would want to convey that. You don't want to cut down on the experience, and neither should you. But try and keep it very crisp. Put in the highlights because your resume is not you, right? Your resume is a preface to who you are, and that's how it should be represented. So keep it really crisp. A couple of points which you would want to concentrate on is if you recall at some point in time, all of us used to put this cover letter before a resume, right? Which sort of died down with time. So if not a cover letter, there is a section where you can put in the objective, a summary of what you've done. If you use it in a very smart way, you can divide your experiences or what you want to talk about between your summary and the actual work that you put in by the organization. So use that summary very smartly to highlight what you want to about yourself. The second thing which I, of course, look at is the organization and the experiences, the roles that you've done. So definitely put that in bold, along with talking of the work that you've done. And in the work, rather than being verbose of the work that you've done, highlight your achievements. So if there is a project that you worked on, if there's something that really turned things around for the organization, put in your highlights. And of course, because the certain roles demand this, we also look at your qualifications, any specific certifications that you may have. So These are the top three things that any recruiter would first focus on when they go through your resume. And if I may add a fourth, because personally that is something I look for, if there is a section on interests or hobbies that the incumbent has, because that always acts as a good icebreaker when you get into the conversation, right? Because these conversations can also be very awkward, because you get into an interview with a set mind that, ABC questions are going to be asked, and the recruiter also comes in with very fixed questions that they want to check on. But if there is something that really stands out about yourself, it's always good to mention that, even if it's personal, because it's also about bringing yourself to work, right? It's not just bringing about your professional self to work. So it can act as a good icebreaker to the conversation.
I so agree with you. In fact, I was just, while you were saying something, I was thinking to myself, people really don't utilize the bold function adequately in their
Yeah.
CVs. Please, guys out there, use the bold function. Bold what is something that you really want the person scanning through that page to stand out for you. There are these features on Word for your advantage: bold, underline, italics. The moment you make that difference to your CV, you stand out. And like Shika said, you don't want to be verbose, but you also don't want to take away the good work that you've done. So it's a very delicate balance. Thank you so much for that, Shika. And I think the fourth point is a clincher for me. Add something that tells you about yourself to the
Yeah.
other person. Thanks a lot for that. In the same vein, I think you would have been seeing CVs during the Rediscover program of people who've taken a break. Any
Right.
one pointer that you'd like to give to a person who's taken a break that they could add in their CV?
So I think what you should definitely do is, see, if you've taken a break, you've taken a break, right? You don't have to really justify that anywhere. Like I said, if there is a gap that you show in your work ex, try and use your summary section. But I don't think it is necessary for you to call out why and how and where you took a break for, right? Because and I think one thing that I would really want to put out, because of all the interviews also that I have had, you don't have to justify why you took a break, right? It's your decision, and even when you say it, don't say I had to. You took a break, right? Because you had a choice and you decided to make that decision for yourself. So I really don't think there is a difference in the way you make your resume if you have a continuous employment versus if you've taken a break. At the end of the day, you're talking about yourself, you're summarizing about yourself. So just make sure, like I would repeat the same things that I did early on in terms of, what are the things you should look for in your resume. I think especially if you're coming back, what you should concentrate on is if you can add anything that you've done while you were on break. It could be pro bono work. It could be any program that you were a part of, even if it was, an external forum or an external session, need not be a certification. It's always good to mention if there's anything that you've done. But other than that, treat it like a regular resume that any continuous employment individual would.
And that actually brings me to Parul, because I remember when I saw Parul's resume, she had so cleverly brought in aspects of her break into her resume. So, first, I really want to ask a very personal question. I've always wanted to ask you this, Parul. A lot of women take career breaks. I took a career break. In your opinion, do you think that is something females should be embarrassed about? And if they have taken a career break, how do they build that narrative into the CV that they are going to put forward to a candidate, to a company?
Thanks. So I think the interesting thing about, and when we were having this conversation, is it really a break? Do you really get a break? Handling kids, handling everything else, it's really not a break. You've just decided to shift your priorities from doing X to Y. That's one. I think you have to tell yourself, the person in the mirror, that that's what you've done. You've chosen to put one priority, give it a break right now, and take another priority, and which is equally important. And so handling or trying to do what you want to discover about yourself is not taking a break. It's just about taking a pause in the journey, trying to find another route. I think that's so. Don't be embarrassed. That's super critical. And when you stop doing that, that's when you start looking at things and you start saying, okay, what else can I do? Beyond this, what else can I look at? What could be interesting? And when that happens, that's when you start looking out for things which you for 2 hours, 3 hours, and that's the way you build slowly getting back.
Okay.
So,
Thank you for
yeah.
that. And about building a narrative into the CV, I remember you had done some pro bono work in your kids' school. You had also done some individual work for yourself. How did you build that narrative into your CV? And therefore, what's your advice to other women?
Yeah, so here I think a lot of things which are not very clear to ourselves sometimes. So, like when I discussed with a lot of people and spoke to them, so they said, okay, so you continue to work. That's the way a lot of that feedback came in. That's one. So and there were some common elements then which I picked up. So whether it was trying to kickstart my own bakery because of my love for breads, or if that was helping underprivileged children and their moms get education and get sustainable income going. So, in all of this, I was trying to get a product in place. I was trying to generate sales, and I was trying to understand the consumer. And those three things, as a sales and marketing person, you continuously do. You also want to ensure that there's profitability so that you can generate more funds. Like, for example, during the community outreach program, I continuously tried to see what else can we sell for the women, what else can we upskill the women, and ensure that it's not just going as charity, but then we plow back the money to ensure that they earn more, so that they could put fruits and vegetables on the table. So the end objective might be different, but the route you're following is still the same around product, around sales, around profitability. And that's something which I did with Philips. So that's where I built that link to say, hey, nothing really changed. It was pro bono versus getting paid. That's the only thing which changed actually. So I think it's super critical to look at what you're doing and how similar is it, even though it might be pro bono or it might be setting up your own entrepreneurship or free. A lot of women are freelancing. So look at that common link and build your story around what
Okay.
you're able to the organization.
Okay, but that gets me thinking, and this question is for Shikha. That gets me thinking that in your case, Parul, you did do a significant amount of stuff, even if it was pro bono or for yourself. But Shikha, as an organization, if there is a woman who comes in who's honestly not done anything pro bono or freelancing or for herself, and has actually taken 2 years or 3 years or 4 years of break, maybe just to look after an ailing parent or to be a mother at home, how would an organization look at that CV? Would that be a disadvantage, not doing anything additional?
I don't think that would be a disadvantage because, in case there isn't, I think when we look at a CV, we look at what your past experiences have been, what is the kind of work you've done in the past. So I honestly don't think it would be a disadvantage. However, the only word of advice or that suggestion that I would give is that it would be great if you can brush up upon what you did previously, right? If you've taken a break, we also don't expect you to remember numbers or what is the kind impact on business it has now versus what you did then. But we would definitely, from your experience, we want to hear the kind of work you've done. And even now, I haven't had a break, but if you ask me what I did 4 years back, my memory would also be sketchy, right? So it would always be great to just brush up, rethink of what you had done, so that when you come into the interaction, you're able to present and talk about what you've done. But I don't think you should come in thinking that you are at a disadvantage versus somebody who's done something in that break, right? Because, like Parul said, it was just a shift in priorities. So
Yeah.
there is really no disadvantage anyway, to be honest.
Thank you so much for that. I think as a person leading Rediscover and looking at these CVs over and over again, you are right. As long as the person coming into an interview is able to talk me through their experiences broadly, it doesn't matter what you do in the break, and everybody's break is a very personal part of their life. I'd like to maybe just ask you to change direction of this conversation and think about the things that uh, you know what would you tell a person like myself who has taken a break, or Parul who's taken a break, to build into their CV if they wanted to explain their break but without getting into too many personal details?
Wow, that's a tough question. Because every time, in all the interactions that I've done, especially for the Rediscover program, if anybody has asked me that, I have honestly never asked them to explain their break.
Okay.
Even if my line manager asks and the individual gives a one-line answer in terms of it was a personal decision, that's it. It is, like you rightly said, it is a personal decision. But if you are looking to build that in, I would say you don't have to put it in when you're explaining the profiles or the jobs that you've done. You don't have to like put a timeline of month to this month break for XYZ reasons. You don't have to put it there. If you want to touch upon it in the summary that you're giving about yourself, that you took a break. If you're comfortable explaining the reason, do that. If not, you can put in a line. But put it in a way that you took a break, but you are excited to come back. You're looking forward to join back the workforce in XYZ areas or diversify from what you've done earlier. So tie it in like that if you're comfortable at all. But I'm just reiterating again, it's only if you're comfortable. It's not a mandate or it's not necessary to explain yourself.
Thank you so much, Shikha. And I think it's important for everybody to know out there, because while we are telling everyone how they could build in their CV, it also is a perspective coming from two talent acquisition partners in RB. That as RB, we don't really want to get into the details of what you have done. A broad explanation, and that also, if it's your personal choice, is more than enough. We want you to come as your best self and put your best self forward. And that would be true for pretty much every organization that would be looking at returning back people. Parul, I have a question for you, because I know you were a part of the Rediscover program last year. So, could you share the entire process and what were the critical touch points that you took care of from the perspective of preparing the CV, coming in for the interviews, and then finally getting the Rediscover associate role?
Right. So I think one thing which I do want to reiterate, as the question about what I did really didn't come from RB side. That is something which I want to reiterate for everybody's benefit. I think it was one. There are a couple of things which I think one needs to do. There is prepare. That is something which is super critical. I think it's very important to give yourself that positive talk uh, before you get into any interview. There are multiple rounds, but I think those rounds are just to ensure that everybody is doubly sure, and that you are also, as I mean, in all my interactions with various people in RB, if there were questions from their side, there were questions from my side too. So I think that process of not looking at it as a one-way street, but as a street in which you clarify a lot of doubts before you finally go in. So I think yes, there are multiple rounds of interviews, but I think that's equally as much to your own benefit to ask those questions and to get that clarity. Yeah, and I think the intent on the organization side, which I've seen, is there's a lot of support which comes in once you're on, in terms of the buddy, the mentor, and all colleagues are there to help. The manager is super critical here, and I think here my manager played an extremely amazing role in terms of ensuring that at any point of time I needed any help. And of course, there is coaching sessions which are available outside with the Window Project, which also help you get that in the midst of you figuring out that entire bit in the 6 months, that you actually had this space you could go to which was external, and clarify your doubts or rethink the dots, and really get that space to just take a pause and see, okay, this is where I am, this is where I need to get to. So I think the support system is amazing. But a little bit for the interviews, please prepare not just for the questions which are coming to you, also prepare your own sets of questions which you would want to clarify and get your own sense of, okay, this makes sense.
Yeah, thank you so much, Parul, for that. I think broadly, what I can kind of, in a nutshell, put together in this conversation is that one, of course, we need to prepare. Second, as a person who's taken a break and another person who's taken a break and come back into work, we need to build a CV which tells you about who you are, but not become too verboise. Keep it as far as possible under 1.5 pages. And like Shikha said, talk something about yourself, have a clever start point to the conversation, which is your summary, a clever end to the conversation, which is your personal interests and hobbies. And these tips and tricks should really help people build a good CV to come back into work. So before I end the three-way conversation, any last words of advice? Shikha, first from you and then from Parul.
I was just thinking when you were talking about the CV, I think the other thing I would want to say is that gone is the time when your CV has to be a black and white paper. So like Shikha was saying earlier, use the bold, use the highlights, use color if there is something you want to on your resume to stand out, right? Because make it different. Because if I get a black and white CV and I get something which is has bolds and highlights and colors, it will catch my attention, right? So the first thing is for us to catch your attention. So use your creativity as much as you can. It doesn't have to be a piece of black and white paper. And I think second, where Parul was talking about preparation, today, and I was given this advice throughout my career, and I used to always think like, why do I need to do that if I'm working what I'm working on? But networking is equally important. You need to put yourself out there, right? Especially if you've taken a break and you're looking to come back, and you have a lot of platforms now where you can do that. LinkedIn being the most common, right? And if you reach out to people today, especially if you ping somebody in an organization, explain and you want to connect with them, everybody today is happy to have a conversation, right? Or even on LinkedIn, start talking about the experiences you've had, any work that you're doing, and you're looking to come back. So wherever possible, try and put yourself out, because that would be a place where you can prepare yourself without without a interview setup, really, right? So it just gives you a playground for practice. So use that wherever you can to help yourself prepare, because when you talk to people, you network, you also understand what is it that people today are looking for versus when you took a break maybe 6 months or a year back. So that could be a starting point as well.
Yeah, and I love what you said, and I want to add something here. When I was on a break, intermittently in my career, I've always tried to stay in touch with my subject matter committees. So in HR, you've got people connect. In HR, we've got the NHRD. So I have always tried to be connected to them just so that I know what's happening new. Otherwise, 3 years later, you enter the industry and you're like, oh my God, so much has changed, because things do change very rapidly. So LinkedIn and your professional networks really does help you to stay connected. Parul, any pieces of advice from you before we close this?
Yep. So I think three things. First, win the battle in your own mind. That it's all there. You've done it before. You can do it again. Second bit around being prepared. Just be prepared as much as possible, both ends, in terms of what you want, clarity in that, and of course, what queries could come in from the other side. And of course, I think the icing would be networking. I think there are a lot of times when those networks fall through. There are colleagues whom I get in touch with after 5 years, 6 years, and if you work through them, they are more than happy to help. So please reach out to whoever you worked with. Will give you some sort of clarity. They will give you something you didn't even expect. So definitely network. That is super critical. Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks, Parul. I can share this with the community out there that I actually got this opening in RB through my network. So you can never underestimate the power of network, because when you're coming back to work, you're honestly looking at every avenue that you can get support from. So, guys, we're done with our conversation between the three of us, opening up the floor for some questions. And Aliba has written a question to us: how you put forward the fact that you are being a part of an employee layoff due to COVID-19? Very good question, Aliva. I've met so many people in this situation in the last maybe 4 months now. Shika, over to you. What would you say to this answer? As an
So
answer.
I would say you don't have to put it in your resume. When you're sending across your resume to a recruiter or to anybody in your network, you can put it as a message in the email or in the message that you send. But I honestly don't think that you need to put it in your resume to say that you were part of a layoff due to COVID-19. all of us have been in the situation, like Shikha said, we are aware of what's happening in the industry. So you don't have to take it as a disadvantage and highlight it somewhere in your resume. But yes, of course, you need to put the message across. So write it in an email as a cover note to the resume that you're sending, and I think that should be enough.
And Aliva, if it's of any comfort, a lot of organizations are open to seeing CVs of people who've got laid off because COVID-19 was, anybody's and everybody's impact. So don't worry about putting that into your CV. Reboot Network wants to know, what is the organizational perspective? Do women have to do something in their break besides the childcare and the caregiving that they do? I'm going to ask both of you to answer this. So let me first go with Parul and then I'll go with Shikha.
Okay, so out of the 10 years, the first 3 years, I just traveled. Okay, I just traveled. I mean, I didn't do anything, right? It's just that when those 3 years were over and it was like, and I had time, that what else, right? But those 3 years also I read. I mean, the time is not complete. So I don't think that from what both Shikhas have said, if it's a shorter break, I don't think so. And of course, if there's a reason, even if it's a longer break, I think it's very individual. So I don't think the organization has a set that no, if it's a break, did you do anything besides? I think this is something what you did and you want to put across. That's my perspective here. So yeah.
Thanks, Parul. Shikha.
So if I have to answer in one word, no, absolutely not. And I would say, especially the words that you look at besides childcare and caregiving. It's no personal experience, honestly, but whatever I've seen, I don't think there is a sides to that, to be very honest. It's in itself a full-time job as well, but no, it is not a mandate. If you've done something, make sure you talk about it. But if you've not done something, that's absolutely okay too.
Thanks. Shushma is saying that I have a gap of 8 years and it's so difficult to return to work. Do I change anything in my CV? So before I ask Shikha to give her view on this, because she's a business partner as well, Shushma, I'd like to say as a talent acquisition person, always, firstly, yeah, a gap and then coming back to work is hard. But there are companies like RB that have got a rediscover program for people like you who've taken a gap in their career. However, you have to keep in mind that a gap in the career doesn't automatically mean that a company has a rediscover and you'll get a job. Because the company also has certain roles that it needs to fill, certain expectations that it needs matched. So it's a very delicate balance, and I almost call it like a tango, where you and the company are the two partners doing the dance. What do you need to change in your CV? My advice to you: show your CV to as many people as possible, to your partner, to your friends, to your colleagues, to your trusted advisors, because they will probably be in a better position to tell you. Also good tips. So maybe you want to use some of them. Anything either of the panelists want to add to this?
Yeah, I think for example, I'd been in the community outreach program and I had not put it on the CV. Okay, I put it like a year back, right? Or my bakery, setting up the bakery thing. So I think just list down what you've done. It could be related, unrelated, and give it to a person who's working and just say, make sense out of this story. I think when you ask for help, and you say this is what is there and just try and help out, a lot of people come forward to do that bit. So I think it's anybody, a friend, somebody you work with, your partner, just put it out there and see. Also, when you get in the feedback, see what works for you, because every feedback, there might be a lot of feedback, but what actually genuinely gels and say, yes, okay, this is the story which I think makes sense for me, and that is the bit.
Thanks,
So I'll give
Parul.
you a trick just to manage this in terms of you don't have to change anything in your CV. But like Shikha said, it has to be a win-win for both of us, right? It has to be a win-win for the organization and for the individual as well. So when you're putting your CV across for a job, look at what the job's requirements or specifications are and try and highlight that on your CV, right? Very basic example, I'm an HR professional. I've done talent acquisition as an HR business partner. I've done talent management, capability learning, right? Now, depending on what job may I be applying for, I would tweak my CV a little to highlight. So if I'm applying for a learning and development job, I would highlight that part of my experience more than talent acquisition and vice versa. So just a little small little trick, see what is it that you're applying for and try and highlight those parts on your resume a lot more than the others.
That's a good trick. Now there is a question: how big a factor is age? Would a 50-year be considered fairly? I can tell you hands down, because I'm the talent acquisition lead of RB, age does not matter. It's a world of equal opportunity. If you've done the job that we want to hire for, that's it. Age does not matter. Yes, sometimes there are corridor conversations, but that's why you have a very primed human resources department to be the conscious of the organization, conscience of the organization. So to your question, all right. We're going to take a last couple of questions because we're already up at 31 minutes. Being at home and families are against, okay, being at home and families are against our career restart. Indeed, they are not allowing for further studies. Also, there are rare chances for an average performers. How do you go ahead in describing your CV? Shikha, you like to take this one?
Okay, so I just want to understand, put it out there that I've understood the question correctly. Um, so are we, my understanding of the question is that if you are not allowed to go for further studies, um,
And
and
if you
there
were
are,
an average performer?
how do you go ahead and, you don't have to describe that in your CV. What we are looking for is, so you have a certain qualification, and to be very honest, qualification is something that you would see in a, after you study and you pass out year plus one, year plus two. After certain years of experience, your experiences counts a lot more than your qualification does, right? So as long as you're able to describe the work that you've done, and in our career, all of us have performed really well on certain KPIs in our job. Some of us, we've not done so well on certain KPIs in our job, but that is reserved for the conversation that you and I have as a recruiter and as a candidate. You don't have to put it upfront on your resume. Like I said, talk about the work that you've done, talk about projects that you worked on, and then prepare yourself thoroughly on what all have you done, right? Because success in your career is equally as much a part as failure is, right? Because as the saying goes, you learn from your failures. So it's absolutely okay to be an average performer in certain aspects of your career. I don't think that's just something that should concern you extensively.
Yeah, and I totally second what Shikha said. I don't think it needs to be labored on in a CV. A CV is a platform for you to say, this is who I am in a nutshell. This is my qualifications, my interests, and this is the work I have done. That's what the CV is for, nothing else. Shama here has a question. When we go for an interview after a break, we are even asked to take a salary reduction. How do we handle this? Shama, I'd like to just tell you about myself, a little bit about myself, and maybe that might answer your question. And then if the panelists have anything to add. So, nobody is going to ask you to do a salary reduction. People are going to ask you to accept what is the pay for the job that you get selected for. Sometimes we have a lot of experience and we think we are, suitable for a job higher than what the organization evaluates us for. Now, that's a mismatch of perception between self and the organization. I myself have come back to work after a break. I realize that my peers who've not taken a break are 4 years, 5 years further into their career than I am. That's a realization I have because I know I took a break for certain reasons. I have not come at a salary reduction. I have come for fair pay for my job. So you have to keep in mind that job has a value in the market. When you take up that job, you are paid what is the value of that job in the market. Shikha, Parul, anything you all want to add?
I actually
Okay.
just second what you said Shikha.
All right. Okay, great. So, why do organizations always offer returnships? Good question. Why can't I be hired straight into a role I have over 10 years of experience? Hey, it's a good question, but I'll tell you why. I think we offered a returnship, and then Shikha can add, and I would love to also hear Parul's view on that. So we offered a returnship because we want to give you a chance to come back to work after taking a break. It's not easy, trust me. I cried, I was super upset. My family was all over the place. There were 2, 3 days when the menu was not prepared. So it's not easy to come back to full time work. So a return ship is almost a gentle landing. Secondly, it gives an organization a chance also to evaluate the candidate that they want to take into the job. So it's a win-win for both, in my humble opinion. But Shikha and Parul, your views.
So I would put it two ways. We offer a returnship because RB also wanted to give a platform for you to, kickstart your career again. Because we may or may not always have a position to offer to you, right? It also depends. Every organization has a limitation on headcount, etc. We did not want that to be a deterrent from offering you opportunities. So that's one of the reasons why we also started with a returnship. Nothing stops you from applying to a position. If I have an open position, and I will hire anybody from outside, be it with a gap in their resume or not. But the only reason we offered a returnship was that I did not want to wait for a position to come up for us to offer that platform.
Thank you. Parul, your view, since
Yeah,
you've
I think
experienced.
I agree with you, Shikha, on that. It's a win-win, and it is crazy. Okay, but it gives you that time and from both ends to actually figure out, does this make sense. Also, I think what one has to look at those 6 months as the organization takes also time to try and figure out where do they put you in, right? So I so and so straight into a role, I think it's giving both parties some time to figure things out. And I think, I mean, I look back at June, July, August, it gave me that time to really think it through, okay, amidst all the chaos and the pandemic. So that, and then after that, yes, you would get into a role, right? It's not like, yeah, so that's my bit.
Thanks. So we have no more questions. We're also run out of time. So I just want to thank Shikha and Parul for taking the time out and doing this with me. I want to thank Reboot for being our partners and getting our voice out there to the community. And most of all, I want to thank the community. It's not easy to come back to work after a break, but breaks are important because life is so much bigger than a career. So you've taken a choice. Now you're ready to come back, apply for returnship programs, and I hope you get that. So thank you, everybody, and thank you so much for this opportunity.
Right. Thank you.